I'm joined right now by a very important guest who has taken the internet by storm. She's filed a private criminal complaint against the governor of Pennsylvania, Hadassah Feinberg. How are you, Hadassah?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for joining me. I know this has been kind of a difficult maybe day or two for you. I just caught the tail end of you speaking with Stu Peters, and the thing that struck me is that Stu was speaking to you about the fact that you're Jewish. Does that have anything to do with your complaint?
I mean, there is that aspect for sure, and there's also additional information.
There is. Okay, I didn't know that because I heard a lot of people attacking your Jewishness online, and I'm also Jewish. I don't understand what that has to do with it, but before we get into it, I just wanted to, before you explain to us exactly what's going on, I just wanted to say that I personally was very skeptical of this when I first heard about it, because a private criminal complaint is a pretty unusual thing. There are several states in the union that allow private individuals to do this, and definitely Pennsylvania is one of them. And the thing that confused me about it a bit is, and you're going to fill us in on exactly what the details are here, Hadassah, you cannot use a private criminal complaint in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania to report anything other than misdemeanors. So perhaps that's creating some procedural difficulties for you. Why don't you first explain to us exactly what's going on? There's a lot of people, I think, who haven't seen this at all. Give us your story, and let's just explore this.
Okay, so yes, I filed the private criminal complaint, my first private criminal complaint for the attempted assassination, implicating Governor Josh Shapiro, the governor of the state of Pennsylvania, was originally filed on July 23rd of 2024. The first complaint that I filed didn't have as many details as my second complaint, which is why I refiled it on February 7th of 2025. Things have evolved since, July of last year. I've received more information, progressed in my investigation, and, investigations of other crimes that are being committed by Josh Shapiro. So I filed the criminal complaint, to compel the district attorney to either, approve the allegations, and move forward with charges, or to respond and deny my criminal complaint so that I can move up to the next step, which is a petition for review of a private criminal complaint at a common pleas court. So if a private criminal complaint is denied by a district attorney for whatever reason, an affiant has a legal remedy to petition the common pleas court in whatever, jurisdiction to review the criminal complaint. Now, if the petition for review is dismissed or, denied in any way, you can go and appeal that up. So then you can move from the common pleas court up to the superior court or up to the Commonwealth court. And that's how you move up the chain, in proceedings. But what the district attorney did was he didn't fill out the private criminal complaint that I filed. He didn't sign the bottom. Instead, he sent me a letter basically telling me that he wasn't going to move forward with the investigation because he had other investigations, which here we are months later, and we still don't have information on what he's talking about, correct? So that's why I filed the criminal complaint, because that's where you start to litigate as a
So wait,
private citizen.
let me slow you down for a second, because you sent me a bunch of documents here. Now, is this letter,
I'm sorry, I can't see you on my camera. I see myself.
Yeah, now you should see this letter here. Do you see the letter?
I don't see anything except for myself.
Okay. That's
How do
strange.
I
There
how do
should
I
be
make
something
it
you can
clear?
change on there so that you should be able to see what we've got going out to the audience. But you sent me this letter. Maybe it's part of the complaint. It says Samuel
If you tell me
Goldberg.
what it is, I know
Yeah.
everything by
Samuel
heart. Yeah.
Goldberg willingly, knowingly, and intentionally committed first-degree murder by engaging in multiple acts to fatally harm Ellen Greenberg. How is this related to the assassination attempt against Donald Trump?
Okay, so it's related because it it involves the same defendants and it involves the same criminal patterns and strategies that are being used to obstruct justice and conceal crimes in the state of Pennsylvania, which I fully believe is an organized criminal racket. So if you look at my RICO lawsuit that I filed against multiple officials, Ellen Greenberg's murder is referenced there. The attempted assassination is referenced there. The crimes committed against the Smith children, who I had helped, is referenced there. What they did to my family in retaliation is referenced there.
Okay, wait. I gotta slow you down because I haven't seen that, and we're getting a little bit far afield here.
I know it's
Let
a
me take
lot of
let me take it
information.
back. Let me take it back to square one here because we do know that the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania allows people to file private criminal complaints, but they are limited to misdemeanors. This is under Pennsylvania Criminal Procedure Rule 506. You're allowed to do this, but the second you start talking about murder and RICO, you're already disqualified from being able to do this. Isn't that right?
So I've never seen what you're referring to. I can't confirm or deny that. And I've never been told that by a district attorney. And I filed multiple complaints through the investigations I filed.
And have
So
previous private criminal complaints that you filed in Pennsylvania been acted on?
no, because they're covering it up. But they
Well,
are accepted in the RICO lawsuit at the Pennsylvania
here.
Commonwealth Court.
So wait a minute. So it says, well, a RICO
Here, let me
lawsuit.
pull up the statute. Give me a second.
Yeah.
I'm going to pull it up so I have it in front of me.
Private criminal complaints, Lancaster
506.
County. First, you must obtain a private complaint
Hold on
from
one second. I
General
have to look.
Assembly.
Hold on one second.
Rule 506, approval of private complaints. PA Code Rule 506. When an affiant is not a law enforcement officer, the complaint shall be submitted to an attorney for the Commonwealth who shall approve or disapprove it without unreasonable delay. If the
Right.
attorney for the Commonwealth approves the complaint, so I mean, right away, that
No,
right
there's nothing
there,
about misdemeanors there.
I'm pretty sure it is limited to misdemeanors. But so what
No,
did they
unless-
say to you?
I'm sorry. And I'm sorry, I have to disagree with you. Unless
Okay.
you can cite a statute that says that, I am pretty well versed in, the work that I've done and the legal
Give us
citations
that
that I've-
background. How did you come to know? You say you're a federal whistleblower. Do you work for the FBI or how are you a federal whistleblower?
So first of all, I'm a federal whistleblower for two reasons. I filed a whistleblower complaint after I applied for the FBI. I was preliminarily, I passed the initial screenings for employment, but as soon as they connected who I was, and
What do you mean connected who you were? Who are you?
well, you know who I am. My name is Hadassah.
But how does
no,
the
but
FBI, why do they care about that? I'm saying,
Why
what,
do they
what-
care? Because
Yeah.
I have been exposing corruption at the FBI since 2023. I have an active lawsuit against the FBI in the Jacksonville federal court. I can actually give you the docket number. It's a federal tort action, which I filed against the FBI for failing to protect my family in 2023. And I've also referenced in that case all of the crimes that they are obstructing in Pennsylvania. Now, the reason I filed it down here is because there's an issue with Pennsylvania courts. Luckily, the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Court seems to be on the level. They've been very, very, fair in their, judicial orders and stuff like that. But there's a couple other courts, which I'm not going to name, that have a lot of corrupt judges, which I'm sure you're familiar with, what they did to President Trump, that are covering up crimes. They know about Ellen Greenberg's murder. They know who murdered her. Everyone knows this stuff, but it's being covered up. So
who is everyone? Wait a second. Who is Ellen? I mean, I don't want to confuse people.
High profile. Okay, so Ellen Greenberg, she was murdered on January 26th of 2011. She was stabbed 20 times, 10 times in the front, 10 times in the back, by her fiance, Samuel Goldberg, who is an NBC reporter in New York. He's a sports writer, and he's very, very close with Josh Shapiro. He covered it up as a suicide, and he had the assistance of James Schwartzman, who's his uncle and a criminal attorney. He's also a Pennsylvania Supreme Court judge for the Pennsylvania Disciplinary Board, who helped him cover up the murder scene. Now, 13 years after her parents have been fighting for justice, they recently about a week ago, they got the medical examiner to reverse the decision that it wasn't a suicide. And
wow, it says she was stabbed more than 20 times. How could they rule that a suicide?
Well, they can't. But this is the point I'm trying to make to the American people. Josh Shapiro is abusing his authority as Pennsylvania governor to weaponize law enforcement, to weaponize the Department of Human Services. He has strategically placed individuals in each of the departments to cover up these corruption crimes. Now, this is why, and this is how I came about the criminal complaint for the attempted assassination. I have a plethora.
So wait a second, hang on, because I got more questions.
Yeah.
So this woman is murdered allegedly, or suicide according to the findings, but you say murdered. It's intriguing.
It's not according to the findings. I have to correct you.
Somebody found that she was suicide.
It's according to the false statements that were made by her fiance with no other witness, inconsistent with how the body was found, inconsistent with any physical evidence. And Josh Shapiro, who was Attorney General at the time, not at the time she was murdered, but at the time the case was being investigated, confirmed that it was a suicide. And not just that, but he's also publicly responded to the reversal of the medical examiner, Marlon Osborne, and said that it's a suicide, even though it's already been reversed.
And so clearly you have a lot of evidence here.
There's
a lot of exhibits here.
Josh Shapiro is a pathological
Hang on just a second, Hadassah, hang on. So you've got a lot of exhibits here in this filing. Can you see the screen, or is that still not working for you?
I can't, but if you tell me what it is,
I've gone to Pacer, and I'm looking at the docket here for Feinberg et al. Versus the United States of America with Brian Davis presiding. That's your case, right?
Wait, is that Monty Richardson?
Monty Richardson. I don't know. The judge is Brian. Yeah, Monty Richardson referral, it says. So it's 24 CV 01074. So this is a complaint and a motion to seal the case. So we can't really look at the complaint, can we?
Well, I filed a motion to seal. They didn't seal it.
Okay, so where is the complaint? Because when I look in here, it says complaint.
I have the complaint.
Oh, here it is. Document number 1. I've got it. So let's look at the complaint. But my question is, even if all of this is true, setting aside the merits of what you are alleging, isn't this something, how can you as a private citizen, I mean, you're not related to this person, are you? What standing do you have to sue on behalf of someone? How can a private citizen, you're acting kind of like an attorney general here. I don't think you're really allowed to do this.
That's the unfortunate part. And that's exactly. And that's the issue. That's the issue that we're trying to expose. I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming you're
What
not
what is the
familiar with
issue?
it.
Wait, what is the issue that you're trying to expose? That individual private citizens cannot act as attorneys general?
No, no, no. Any private citizen can bring a private criminal complaint, and any private citizen can file a RICO lawsuit against organized crime and corrupt officials without, without having that law enforcement
You have
badge
to
on,
be
basically.
damaged by the RICO, by their
Correct.
actions.
I
How are you
am.
damaged
I
by the
am.
murder of this woman?
Because it's the same defendants that are continuing this criminal racket. Had that person been charged in 2011, had Josh Shapiro not moved up from commissioner to attorney general to governor, and had this racket been dissolved back in 2011, my family would not have gone through what we went through. And that's how I'm able to create standing on the case. On top of that, I will also tell you that on top of that enterprise, and I've clearly established that this has been an enterprise for well over 13 years, that the same defendants have been participating in this criminal racket, and that the same patterns and practices and criminal racket was used at that time as it is with mine. It's the
Right.
same defendant.
Okay. Now,
Does that
it's
make
important.
sense?
It does. And I'm not an attorney, but what you're describing to me sounds like they are not going to agree that you have standing to do this. But so far, we've got an order in this case.
No.
Has a district court judge determined, based on what you're telling us, that you have standing to file a RICO action like this?
Oh, I already know that I do. I've been litigating now for over a year. I'm litigating the Commonwealth Court since August of 2024. I have not been thrown out. I'm in touch with, deputy attorneys and, senior solicitor attorneys. I know that what I'm doing is correct. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. So, the only order we have in this case so far is an order on your motion to proceed in forma, as somebody who can't afford
in forma pauperis. That's the indigent status. So now what you're looking at the federal tort claim. That was like the most recent lawsuit that was filed. In order to do that, I had to file an administrative claim first in order to sue the United States and to sue the FBI. You need to give them 6 months notice to investigate. So basically what you have to do, you have to fill out an administrative claim. You have to mail it to the FBI office that committed the, negligent act, and you need to serve the Department of Justice. When you do that, they respond and they tell you, okay, we have 6 months to investigate, blah, blah, blah. Obviously they don't investigate. And then they send you a letter saying that they either approve or deny your administrative complaint, and that you have 6 months from the date of the letter to file a federal tort. Now, on October 3rd of 2024, they sent me the letter stating that I had 6 months to file a tort. Now, I have a lot of legal knowledge, and so within a week, I filed my federal tort.
That was on one case. October 18th.
Yes, that's just one case that you're looking at. That's just against the FBI. What you should really be interested in is the RICO lawsuit. The RICO lawsuit names Josh Shapiro, names Samuel Goldberg, names James Schwartzman, names a ton of judges that are covering up these crimes, names an attorney at the Pennsylvania Supreme Court Disciplinary Board that is closing cases unlawfully to cover up the corruption. There are so many individuals in these departments that are working with these officials. And the way that I was able to discover that was through working with other victims and realizing that the same individuals that were covering up the crimes were overlapping in all of our cases.
I don't doubt the things that you're saying. Right now, I'm just focused on this idea of, do you have standing to sue this thing as a RICO? And I'm just not sure that we've had a judge.
Because if you look, I'll tell you how I know that I do. Here we go. I'm going to pull up the statute for you. So under the Pennsylvania Rules of Civil Procedure, because you can sue RICO under civil procedure. Hold on. Let me just log into my phone.
It's got to be the federal rules of civil procedure, no?
No, it's the Pennsylvania Rules of Civil Procedure. I lodged the lawsuit at the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Court.
Well, I'm looking at the federal docket here, where you've sued the FBI.
Yeah, you're looking at a different lawsuit. I have 6 lawsuits. I'm litigating multiple cases against corrupt officials, and I've been doing this for a while.
Okay. So I don't disagree with you that we have corrupt officials, and it's entirely likely that the evidence that you have against them is valid. So let's set that aside for now. I'm just saying I anticipate you're going to run into some procedural challenges here. That's my opinion based on
of course,
things I've done in court.
Okay. Anytime someone files, the defendant has the right to respond with preliminary objections. Now, when they do that, either I can amend as of right. You have 30 days to amend as of right.
But hang on, Hadassah. I don't want to turn this into a law lesson. I understand that they're going to respond. I'm not talking about what the defendants are going to do. I'm talking about the judge, I think, is going to tell you that you're not going to be able to proceed with this. So let's set that aside for now, and let's focus on the allegations that you've made in the private criminal complaint where you're alleging that Josh Shapiro played a role in the assassination attempt in Butler, PA. Can you tell me what evidence informs that allegation?
Yes. So first of all, I explained to you, it's a plethora of evidence and history that leads up to it, not just what happened on the day of the attempted assassination, but also stuff that happened prior to. I had reached out to 2 very high-ranking officials prior to the attempted assassination. I was already investigating Josh Shapiro prior to the attempted assassination. Did I know that that was going to happen on that day? Absolutely not. But when it did happen, it was extremely alarming for me prior, to getting all of the evidence. But that's what led me to file a report with the Secret Service, which they sent up to headquarters, which we know was suppressed back down because of the Biden administration. Now, as I explained in the previous podcast I was on with Stu Peters, I am not able to give you guys, unfortunately, all of the evidence that I have.
Well, I'm not asking for all of the evidence. I'm just asking what evidence informs. I mean, Josh Shapiro could do a million terrible things. How does that make him complicit with the... And also, by the way, it's possible that he was. I think there's a lot that went on in Butler. So what evidence informs that allegation that Josh Shapiro was involved? How was he involved?
Because I was able... Let me explain. I was able to confirm that Chris Parris, the commissioner of the state police, falsified statements to the Senate Judiciary Committee. This is going to be the best evidence for you guys of what I can share with you. He falsified statements to the Senate Judiciary Committee relating to the timeline of events and facts on that day. They tried, when I say they, I'm referring to Josh Shapiro and Chris Parris, they tried to divert the criminal investigation to a epic security failure, and they tried to blame the Secret Service, but the Secret Service was not the reason that happened. So as soon as you start finding evidence, this is what led me down this rabbit hole. As soon as you find evidence of individuals falsifying statements, of material evidence relating to an attempted assassination, that is a huge red flag. Now, on top of that, I also had been communicating with officials. I don't know if you know this, but prior to Kamala Harris picking Tim Walz, she was supposed to pick Josh Shapiro. And I contacted Secret Service. I contacted the White House. I can send you a huge list of, phone calls and recordings. And I put everything like on YouTube and TikTok. They censored my TikTok because I was putting the information out. I had, I would say, at least 1 million views on the video that I exposed, the one that went viral actually for X. It went viral. This was like, when was it? In July of 2024, it went viral. It had 1 million views and they banned my account. They didn't want people to see it. So you have contributing factors. First, you have falsifying statements from a Pennsylvania state commissioner. You have knowledge of how Josh Shapiro is utilizing and weaponizing the state police. You have material evidence of hundreds of state and federal crimes committed by Shapiro and Chris Paris, which obviously leads you to go down the rabbit hole of their credibility. And I have additional evidence, which I can't provide right now. But what I will say is that it's all going to come out on the RICO lawsuit. So if people want an update and they want to see what's happening, they need to follow the case, because that's where all the information is going to be public. And I wouldn't put too much, energy into the mainstream media, because Josh Shapiro controls the media out of Pennsylvania. Larry Walheimer is the husband of Gail Walheimer. Gail Walheimer she's a Jew, obviously, like me and Josh Shapiro, but her husband runs the Philadelphia Inquirer and is running the stories to support Josh Shapiro, even though they're false.
You're making a lot of statements that a court would call conclusory. I mean, I asked you what evidence...
Well, no, I have physical evidence. I've witnessed testimony.
But the evidence that you're telling me is evidence is that the captain of the state police didn't do an investigation or something like that?
Well, he falsified, under oath, he falsified...
Okay, but so how is that evidence that Josh Shapiro was involved in the assassination attempt?
Because Josh Shapiro had the motive to cover up the money laundering with Ukraine, which was also reported prior.
What?
So
wait, whoa, stop.
Yeah.
So Colonel Christopher Paris making a statement that is false or incorrect, that you've determined is false or incorrect, is evidence that Josh Shapiro is involved in the assassination because he's laundering money in Ukraine? Is that what you just said?
When you have a motive and you have a pattern and practice of criminal behavior, and you have officials that are sworn law enforcement officials that operate under his control and by his directive and have been concealing crimes for him, then yes, you definitely have more than enough preponderance just to bring the case. And I have additional evidence on top of that. And it's not just that. Listen, do I have a recording of his conversation with Chris Paris?
But none of what you're talking about is direct evidence that he was involved. Maybe you have evidence that he's involved in crimes or malfeasance, but you're coming to these conclusions that frankly don't make sense to me. Now, I appreciate that you've got ongoing litigation.
You don't have all the physical evidence.
Okay, so why did you come out with this if you're not able to present the public with evidence that would be sufficient to convince them of your claims? Because, see, this conversation is making me less convinced that you've got anything valid here than I was at the outset.
So what I wanted to make clear on this show and on Stu Peters, I'm not here to convince the public. I've made this very clear on my platform. I'm not here. I could get 1,000 views. I could get 1 million views. That doesn't matter. I'm trying to expose the corruption. I'm trying to expose the crime.
Yes, but to do that effectively, you need to have facts that make sense, not just your own claims based on evidence that we can't see.
I understand that. And that's why I'm litigating in the court.
Okay, but you did agree to come on this show. You did post this on the internet. Obviously, you're trying to put some attention on it. And look, you and I just met right now. We had a couple of direct messages on X. I don't know you. I'm not trying to disparage you. I'm also not trying to promote you. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, because when I first saw what was posted, I'm going to be very direct with you. It seemed like absolute nonsense. And the more I speak with you...
Right, because you don't know the background and you don't have physical
so what I'm
evidence.
getting at is for you to release this information when you're not in a position to sufficiently explain it so that it makes sense to anyone, it makes me think you're not going to get anywhere with this, because it sounds like a bunch of nonsense that's not connected. Now, there's a woman who was killed, who you're bringing a lawsuit about, who you're not related to, because this is a RICO, according to you, that's doing something to you that damaged you. And you've got a case that's been going since October where the judge hasn't yet made any ruling on whether or not you have standing.
No, I don't think you're following. So the reference that you're making about October, that's a different case. That's not the RICO case. You're conflating two different cases.
Forgive me, but you've got a case where you are suing the United States of America, and when I said you appear to be acting as a citizen attorney general, you agreed, and I told you...
Not for that case. The case in the federal court that you're referencing for October is a federal tort. Okay, that's for negligence from the FBI regarding my family. The RICO lawsuit that I'm litigating is at the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Court. That docket number is 402 MD 2024. The caption of that case is Feinberg et al.
I'm not on that docket right now, so let's just stay on this thing right here.
Everything I'm saying is true, whether people can follow it or not.
Why did you try to work for the FBI if you're suing the FBI? And how did you said the FBI knows who you are or something? I mean, I'm going to be very direct with you, Hadassah. You're coming off like a lunatic right now.
Okay. That's not my problem. I can provide evidence to support everything I say.
No, you can't, because when I asked you what evidence do you have that links Josh Shapiro to the assassination, you said you can't talk about it. So here, count one.
I don't have it. Just because I can't talk about it because I'm in litigation doesn't mean I don't have it. I don't know if you watched my previous thing, but I
didn't.
Explained to you
I told you
that I'm still in the process of getting telephone records from the Pennsylvania governor through subpoena at the Commonwealth Court.
Have they given you these subpoenas yet, or are you anticipating that you're going to subpoena these
things? They already gave them to me. They gave them to me. They're sealed. Do you see that? Everything that I'm just going to say one thing. If the public chooses to follow the case, that's up to them. If they choose not to, that's up to them. I signed a sworn affidavit because what I filed is 100% true. I can testify that it is true. I can testify to all of the statements that I made. I am a criminal justice major. I worked for the state police in 2015. I can show you evidence for that. I can show you evidence.
Okay. So here you're basically...
I can show you evidence for everything.
Just calm down, okay? You can't show me evidence for everything, because the first piece of evidence I asked you to show me, you said you couldn't show it to me. So count one, plaintiff Hadassah Feinberg and all these other redacted people, you're suing them for violation of the Federal Tort Claims Act, but what is it that you even allege that they do?
Which case are you talking about?
I'm talking about the one case that I've got here from Pacer, where it's you suing the United States of America and all of these redacted co-plaintiffs.
That is specific. That is me and my children. That is specific to what happened in my family in 2023.
And I'm asking you, what is it that you're alleging that they did to you in 2023? Where is the...
Do you want me to tell you what happened?
I'm asking you to tell me what you're suing them for here.
I'm suing them for negligence in failing to protect my family when I reported public corruption and fraud.
That's not a case that the court is going to allow you to go ahead with, because the FBI has broad discretion to decide what cases they act on and what cases they do not act on. So if you're saying there's public corruption and it harmed your family, that's going to be considered a generalized grievance, and the court is going to tell you that you don't have standing to sue the FBI for not doing what you asked them to do.
Actually, they already gave me permission to sue the FBI. The Department of Justice already gave me permission.
That's not the court. Okay? The Department of Justice is not the
That's
court.
what a federal. Okay, I have legal knowledge. I'm the one litigating in court, and I'm going to agree to disagree.
Okay. I think you're out of your mind, is what I have to tell you, because this is a lot of nonsense here, and you're not able to tell me concisely what evidence links the governor of Pennsylvania to the assassination attempt. We've spoken with a lot of different people about a lot of different evidence around that assassination attempt, and you're not able to give me a direct answer. You're one of these people who seems to just like to file cases because you're able to litigate. But I don't think you... No? Okay.
I file when I can win my case. If you look me up, I only file cases when I can win.
Well, how many cases have you won? Because I looked you up and there were kind of a lot of cases that you filed.
Okay. So I'll tell you, in 2023, there was a realtor who sold me a home that had termites.
I have a feeling I don't want to listen to this.
Okay, then don't ask questions if you don't want answers.
Yeah, I wanted answers from you, Hadassah, but this has been a contentious conversation because you're not able to give very concise answers. You're suing people all over the place for things that I really don't think you have standing to sue people for.
Excuse me. If you were talking to an attorney, okay, a high-profile attorney like Joe Pedroza, who is Ellen Greenberg's parents' attorney, if you were talking to him and he told you that due to the ongoing litigation and investigation,
you are not an attorney.
Some of the information, it doesn't
and Joe
matter.
Pedroza is not spilling out documents on the internet and then saying, oh, well, I can't explain to you what this dubious document means or any of the evidence that backs it. That's not the way attorneys operate. That's the way crazy people operate.
When an attorney files a case and it goes like high profile, just like the Ellen Greenberg case, it doesn't mean that they disclose all of the information to the public. It just doesn't work like that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I don't appreciate your method of arguing. So you're saying you've got something on the docket here in the Pennsylvania Court of Common Pleas. Is that it?
No.
Where is that other RICO case? I am listening to you, but you're spewing a ton of crap that's difficult to follow.
Every statement I make is true and 100% verified, and I'm not going to let you try to smear
You're
what
a
I'm
very
saying
argumentative person, Hadassah. I'm not trying to smear you. I scheduled this with you because I wanted to understand what it is that you're putting out into the public. You're accusing people of crimes. Maybe they committed them, but maybe they didn't. And if they didn't,
but they did.
The way that you're putting this stuff out is incredibly irresponsible. So remind me of what it was that you said 10 minutes ago about where I can find this RICO case that you filed.
Okay, it's at the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Court. You're welcome to verify. It's Feinberg et al. It's spelled Feinberg et al. Versus Evans et al.
Let me just get to the docket first, please. Okay?
Okay.
So here's the United States Judicial System of Pennsylvania, docket sheets for the Commonwealth Court. Okay? Access docket sheets. And so we want to search by participant name. Feinberg, Hadassah. And what's the date range we should be searching here?
They just filed an order on February 5th.
When did you file the case?
I filed the case, I believe it was August 27th of 2024.
Okay, we've
What's
got two
funny
cases
is, like,
here.
you're trying to trip me up, but everything I'm saying is
not trying to trip you up. I'm trying to understand what you're saying, but the way you're presenting it is not helping. And it's going to
be very complex.
So here's two cases.
An investigation from 15 months. It's
well,
not
I'm helping you understand. You see, listen, Hadassah, I am someone who was on your side when this started, and I hope your takeaway from this will be that the way that you present this information is sending people away from it and making them believe that you're rambling about a bunch of disconnected things that don't make sense.
Listen to me. I'm not here to prove anything to the public. I filed a complaint because I wanted the public to know that I filed a complaint.
There's two here, okay?
RICO lawsuit, I also
there's one from May and there's one from August. So which one would you like me to look at here?
It's August. And by the way, the one from May is a related case. There's been a lot of stuff that they're covering up. I'm here to shed light on the corruption. That's how I got involved in the investigation of Josh Shapiro. It started in 2023 and it developed over time.
And so you worked for the Pennsylvania State Police. What did you do for them?
I was a legal assistant too that approves or denies like background checks for weapons, like license to carry.
So you're an office administration type of person.
Correct.
Working for the police.
Civilian.
With basically no legal training at all. And so, I mean, I'm trying to find this.
Excuse me. I have legal training. If you're going to say something, make sure it's backed by evidence. I do have legal training. Number one.
Did you go to law school?
Are you going to let me answer?
Yeah.
I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice. I also attended Widener Law School's TAP program. I was also accepted to Appalachian Law School with a $10,000 scholarship. And if you want receipts, I can send them to you. Because what I'm going to make clear to the public, because I know you're going to post this, is that every single thing I've said is backed by physical evidence, and it is true. I would not.
If you don't want me to post this, I don't have to. I agreed to allow you to pre-record.
No, you're welcome to post this. Like, listen,
I don't see how we get to the docket from this electronic docket sheet. All it's giving me is like 2 sheets of paper here. I mean, I asked you to email me.
Do you want me to send you the court order? Do you want me to send you the court order?
You know, Hadassah, I don't think I do. I think what you need to do is you need to go ahead with your litigation and you need to present your evidence.
Not knowing what's going on. Okay, I'm gonna pleasantly leave this conversation.
Yeah, go ahead and do that. You know, that's absolutely ridiculous. I came into this conversation to try to understand what this woman was doing. I don't understand why she needs to inject her Judaism into this. She seems like a very confused, very argumentative, very unpleasant person. Hadassah, thank you for agreeing to this interview. Thank you for not being able to present us with any convincing facts whatsoever. You can say 1,000,000 times that what you're telling us is true. When I ask you for the evidence and you